The
I'm
house
sorry to
stood at
bother
the
you,
end
ma'am,
of the street like it
but the
was
bank
forgotten by
finalized the
time.
foreclosure.
Other
You have
houses
until
had
sundown
fresh
to collect your
paint, bright
things.
doors, and noisy families. This one did not. Its walls were pale and cracked, its windows dusty, and its gate leaned to one side. But inside that silent house lived a story full of breath, tears, and quiet hope. Maria first stepped into the house on a cold evening. She was holding her baby Leo wrapped tightly in a thin blanket. Leo was only 1 year old then. His cheeks were soft, his eyes wide, and his hands always searching for something to hold. Maria had no suitcase, no furniture, and no plan. She only had fear in her chest and love in her arms. She had lost everything before finding this place. Her husband was gone. Work had disappeared. Friends had slowly stopped answering her calls. The world had become too loud, too fast, and too cruel. When she found the empty house, unlocked and quiet, she did not think of laws or rent. She thought only of survival. Just one night, she whispered to herself. That one night became 5 years. The first night was the hardest. The house had no electricity, no water, and no warmth. The wind entered freely through broken windows. Leo cried softly, not loudly, like he knew the world was already heavy. Maria rocked him back and forth on the cold floor, humming a song her mother once sang to her. "It's okay," she said again and again, even though she wasn't sure it was true. The house listened. Over time, Maria cleaned every corner. She patched holes with old cloth. She found a small mattress near a trash bin and carried it home, step by step. Each step felt like a promise. Slowly, the house stopped feeling empty. It began to feel like shelter. Leo learned to crawl on that dusty floor. He learned to stand by holding the wall. His first steps were taken between broken furniture and peeling paint. Maria clapped softly so he would not fall. Her heart jumped with fear and pride at the same time. Outside, people passed the house every day. Some noticed the light at night. Some wondered. But no one knocked. No one asked questions. The house stayed silent to the world. Maria worked when she could, cleaning jobs, dishwashing, sometimes nothing. Some nights, she went to bed hungry so Leo could sleep full. She never complained. She believed suffering was quieter when carried with love. At night, after Leo slept, Maria sat by the window. She watched the moon and talked to it like an old friend. "I don't want much," she said once. "Just time. Just a chance." The moon never answered, but it stayed. The house became a witness. It saw Maria cry when she thought Leo couldn't hear. It saw her smile when he laughed. It heard her prayers spoken without words. The walls held every secret without judgment. Years passed gently but heavily. Leo grew taller. His laughter became louder. He asked questions Maria couldn't always answer. "Why don't we have a TV? Why don't I have a room? Why don't other kids come here?" Maria answered with stories instead of truth. She turned pain into imagination. She turned lack into warmth. "You have the biggest room," she told him once, spreading her arms. "It's called the world." Leo believed her, but deep inside, Maria knew something fragile was holding their life together. Living rent-free was not freedom. It was borrowed time. Every morning she woke up afraid that the silence would break. That fear slept beside her every night. Still, the house stood. Still, no one came. And in that silence, a mother and child built a life out of almost nothing, not knowing that one knock would soon change everything. Time does not move the same way for everyone. For people with full pockets and full hearts, it runs fast and light. For Maria, time moved slowly like a heavy cart pulled uphill. Every day felt long, every year felt longer. And yet, before she fully understood it, 5 years passed inside the silent house. Leo grew as the seasons changed. The baby who once fit in her arms now ran through the narrow rooms with bare feet, laughing at things only children could see. His laughter filled the house, touching corners that sadness once owned. Maria often stopped working just to listen to him. In those moments, she forgot fear. Mornings began early. Maria woke before the sun, quietly so she would not disturb Leo. She washed her face with cold water from a shared tap down the street. She tied her hair tightly, like she was tying courage into herself, and stepped out to find work. Some days she found it, some days she did not. On good days, she cleaned houses where the floors were soft and the walls smelled of soap. She watched other mothers serve breakfast to children who had more than they needed. She did not feel jealousy, only a quiet ache. She wondered if Leo would ever know that life. On bad days, she returned home with empty hands. She smiled anyway. She always smiled. Leo never knew which days were good or bad. He only knew that his mother came home, that she hugged him, and that the house still stood. To him, that was safety. The house aged with them. Paint peeled more. The roof leaked during hard rain. When water dripped into bowls at night, Leo thought it was music. Maria let him believe that. She turned leaks into lullabies and hunger into stories. At night, she told him tales of brave kings with nothing but kind hearts, and queens who survived storms without crowns. Leo listened with wide eyes. In his mind, his mother was both king and queen. As Leo grew older, questions became sharper. Why do we move so quietly? Why do we not invite people here? Why do you look scared when someone knocks on another door? Maria felt each question like a stone in her chest. She answered carefully. Some lives are soft, she said. Ours is strong. Leo nodded, even if he didn't fully understand. 5 years is a long time to live without certainty. Maria learned to listen deeply. Every sound outside mattered. Footsteps, engines, voices. When a car stopped near the house, her breath stopped too. When it moved again, she breathed again. Fear became part of her routine. Still, she built beauty where she could. She planted small flowers in broken cans. She taught Leo to read using old newspapers. She celebrated birthdays with handmade paper crowns and one candle saved for special days. On Leo's 5th birthday, she gave him a small toy car she found at a market. It had scratches and missing paint, but Leo held it like treasure. "This is the best gift," he said. Maria turned away so he would not see her tears. Neighbors knew them, but not deeply. Some offered kindness. Some offered silence. No one asked how long they had been there. Sometimes silence is its own agreement. But time leaves traces. Papers get filed, names get noticed. Empty houses do not stay invisible forever. One afternoon, Maria noticed something new. A man stood across the street, looking at the house. He wrote something down. He did not smile. He did not frown. He only observed. That night, Maria could not sleep. She lay beside Leo, listening to his breathing. She counted each breath like a prayer. The house felt different, no longer just a shelter, but a fragile secret. 5 years had given them memories, growth, and love, but it had also built a quiet debt with the world. Maria knew deep inside that borrowed time always asks to be returned, and somewhere beyond the street, a decision had already been made. The letter arrived on a morning that looked like any other. The sky was pale, the air was still, and the street was quiet. Nothing warned Maria that this day would divide her life into before and after. She found the envelope when she opened the door to let light into the house. It lay on the floor like a small, harmless thing, white, clean, official. Her name was written on it in dark ink. Maria did not touch it at first. Her heart began to beat faster, not from surprise, but from recognition. Some fears do not shock you when they arrive. They feel familiar, like someone you have been expecting for years. Leo was behind her, rubbing his eyes. "Mama, what is that?" he asked. "Just paper," she replied softly. "Go wash your face." He obeyed, dragging his feet toward the basin. Maria waited until she heard water splash. Then she bent down and picked up the envelope. It felt heavier than it should have. She closed the door, sat at the small table, and held the letter in both hands. For a moment, she remembered the first night in this house, how empty it had been, how frightened she was, how small Leo felt in her arms. 5 years of living were folded into that single envelope. She opened it slowly. The words were neat and cold. There was no anger in them, no cruelty, only rules. Only facts. Nuff of OCCPNCY Final War MD. Maria read the letter once, then again, then again. The words did not change. They explained that the house had an owner, that records had been checked, that her presence was now known, that she must leave. There was a date at the bottom, clear, sharp, final. Her hands began to shake. For a long moment she could not cry. Her body felt empty, like all the air had been taken from it. She pressed the letter against her chest, as if holding it close might soften its meaning. Leo returned, his face wet and bright. "Why are you quiet?" he asked. Maria looked at him and forced a smile that hurt her face. "Come eat," she said. They sat together and shared a simple breakfast. Leo talked about a bird he saw outside. Maria nodded, answered, listened, but her thoughts stayed with the letter. Each word echoed in her mind like a slow drum. After Leo went outside to play, Maria read the letter again. This time, she noticed the language more clearly. It was polite, professional. It did not ask how she lived here. It did not ask why. It did not ask who Leo was. The law does not ask questions of the heart. She folded the letter carefully and placed it in a small tin box where she kept important things: Leo's birth paper, a faded photograph of her parents, and a ribbon from Leo's first birthday. The letter did not belong there, but she had nowhere else to put it. That afternoon, Maria tried to work, but her hands were slow. Every task felt heavier. She dropped things. She forgot steps she had done 1,000 times before. Her mind kept returning to the date. How much time was left? When evening came, the house felt smaller. The walls seemed closer. Even Leo noticed. "Mama, are we going somewhere?" he asked suddenly. Maria froze. "What makes you ask that?" "You're packing with your eyes," he said. "Children see more than we think." Maria pulled him into her arms. She held him tightly, breathing in his smell, his warmth, his life. "Whatever happens," she said softly, "we stay together." That night, sleep did not come easily. Every sound felt like a step closer to the end. She imagined knocks on the door. She imagined voices calling her name. She imagined Leo crying in confusion. She prayed not for miracles, but for strength. In the darkness, she stood and walked through the house. She touched the walls, the door, the window where she spoke to the moon. She thanked the house silently for the years it gave them. The letter sat quietly in the tin box. It had done its job. The countdown had begun. The knock did not come immediately. That was the cruelest part. After the letter arrived, every day felt like a stretched wire, tight, thin, ready to snap. Maria woke each morning expecting the sound, and each night went to sleep wondering if she had escaped it for one more day. Leo felt the change even if he did not understand it. His laughter became quieter. He stayed closer to Maria. When footsteps passed outside, he looked up, searching her face for answers. She gave him smiles and calm words, but inside her chest, fear walked freely. The day it happened was warm and bright. Birds argued on the wire outside. A neighbor laughed somewhere down the street. Life continued, careless and normal. Maria was folding clothes when she heard it. Knock, knock, 3 slow knocks. Firm, patient, final. Her hands stopped moving. For a second she hoped she was imagining it. Then Leo looked at the door. "Mama," he whispered. Maria's heart pounded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. She wiped her hands on her dress and stood up. Her legs felt heavy, like they did not belong to her. "Stay here," she said softly. She walked to the door as if crossing a long bridge. Each step felt like leaving something behind. Memories, safety, time. She opened the door. A man stood outside in a dark uniform. His hat was straight. His posture was careful. His eyes were tired, not cruel. "Good afternoon," he said. "I'm the sheriff." The words landed gently, but their weight was crushing. Maria nodded. Her voice did not come at first. She swallowed and tried again. "I know," she said. The sheriff looked surprised for a moment. Then he nodded slowly, as if he respected her honesty. "I'm sorry," he said. "This isn't personal." He held out papers. Maria did not reach for them. "I received the letter," she said. "I just need time." The sheriff glanced past her into the house. He saw the thin curtains, the worn floor, Leo standing quietly in the corner, holding a small toy car. His expression changed just slightly. "I don't make the rules," he said. "I only enforce them." Maria stepped aside and let him enter. The house felt different, with another person inside, smaller, exposed. Leo's eyes followed every movement. The sheriff cleared his throat. "You have a short time to collect your belongings," he said. Leo walked to Maria and held her hand tightly. "Are we in trouble?" he asked. The sheriff knelt down to Leo's level. His voice softened. "No, son," he said. "You didn't do anything wrong." Maria looked at the floor. She felt shame rise in her, even though she knew she had done everything she could to protect her child. She began to pack, slowly, carefully. Each item carried a memory. A cup they shared soup from, a blanket Leo slept under for years, the tin box with the letter. Her hands shook, but she did not cry. The sheriff stood near the door. He did not rush her. He watched in silence, like someone who had seen this scene too many times. At one point, Leo tugged his sleeve. "Will you take our house?" Leo asked. The sheriff paused. He searched for words that would not break a child. "This house was never really yours," he said gently, "but your mother gave you a home." Leo nodded, not fully understanding, but trusting the tone. When the bags were packed, Maria stood in the center of the room. She looked around one last time. 5 years of life stared back at her from empty spaces. She turned to the sheriff. "Thank you for being kind," she said. He removed his hat slightly. "I wish kindness was enough," he replied. They stepped outside together. The door closed behind them with a soft sound. Not a slam, just an ending. Maria held Leo close as they walked away. The knock was over. The journey was not. Vengeance is usually loud. It screams, it breaks things, it demands payment. But Maria's vengeance was quiet. It did not rise from anger, but from dignity. It did not burn, it endured. When the door closed behind them and the house was no longer theirs, Maria did not turn back to curse it. She kept walking, holding Leo's hand, each step a thread of strength woven into her spine. That was her silken vengeance, soft, strong, and unbreakable. They walked until the street noise faded. Leo's steps became slower. The small bag on his shoulder slipped, and Maria adjusted it gently. "Are we going on an adventure?" Leo asked, trying to smile. "Yes," Maria answered, and this time it was not only a lie to protect him, it was also a promise to herself. They reached a small park near the bus stop. Maria sat on a bench and let Leo rest his head on her lap. The world moved around them, people passing, cars honking, lives continuing without pause. Maria watched it all and felt invisible. But invisibility had once saved her. It had given her 5 years. It had allowed Leo to grow. Now, it was time to become visible again, not in shame, but in strength. She opened the tin box one last time. Inside lay the letter, the ribbon, the papers. She removed the eviction notice and folded it smaller and smaller until it was nothing but a square of silence. She did not tear it. She did not throw it away. "I forgive you," she whispered to it, not because it deserved forgiveness, but because she deserved peace. She placed it back and closed the box. Leo watched her. "Why are you smiling?" he asked. "Because we're still here," she replied. They boarded a bus with the little money she had saved. Each coin felt like a victory. The bus was crowded, but someone offered Leo a seat. Maria stood holding the rail, swaying with the movement. For the first time since the knock, she felt something new rise inside her, not fear, but resolve. She remembered every night she survived, every hunger she swallowed, every story she told to protect a child's heart. The world had taken the house, but it had not taken her ability to love. That was vengeance enough. They arrived at a small shelter by evening. The building was plain, the walls clean but tired. A woman at the desk looked at Maria without judgment. She asked questions slowly. She listened. Sometimes kindness wears no uniform. That night, Leo slept on a clean bed. Maria sat beside him, watching his chest rise and fall. The room was shared with strangers, but it was safe. For now, that was everything. As Leo slept, Maria reflected on the house. Not with pain, but gratitude. It had been a cocoon. It had protected them while they grew stronger wings. Staying would have been comfort. Leaving was transformation. Silken vengeance is not about taking back what was lost. It is about refusing to be destroyed by loss. The sheriff would go home that night. The house would stand empty again. Papers would be filed. Life would move on. But Maria and Leo had moved forward. In the quiet of the shelter, Maria made a vow, not spoken, but lived. She would rebuild. Slowly, honestly, without hiding. The world had pushed her down. She stood back up softly but fully, and that softness was her greatest power. Morning arrived gently, as if it knew how fragile the night had been. Sunlight slipped through the shelter's thin curtains and touched Leo's face. He stirred, smiled in his sleep, and turned toward Maria like a flower toward light. Maria had not slept much, but she felt awake in a way she had not felt for years. She sat up slowly, listening. There were soft sounds all around, footsteps in the hall, a kettle boiling somewhere, quiet voices greeting a new day. It was not the silence of hiding. It was the silence of shared survival. Leo opened his eyes. "Mama," he said, blinking. "This place smells like soap." Maria laughed quietly. "That's a good smell." They washed their faces together in the shared bathroom. Leo splashed water and laughed, and Maria let him. For the first time in a long while, she did not feel the need to rush or to be invisible. After breakfast, a simple meal of bread and fruit, a counselor sat with Maria. She spoke kindly and wrote things down. She asked about skills, about work, about Leo's school. "You've been strong for a long time," the woman said. "You don't have to be alone now." The words settled into Maria's chest like warmth. That day, Leo joined other children in a small playroom. He hesitated at first, then stepped forward. Within minutes, he was laughing again, freely, loudly, without checking his mother's face for fear. Maria watched from the doorway. This was what safety looked like. Days turned into weeks. The shelter helped Maria find steady work at a bakery. The hours were early, the pay modest, but it was honest. Each morning, the smell of bread followed her home, and Leo said she smelled like comfort. They moved into a small room of their own. One bed, one table, one window, but the door locked from the inside, and no one could knock them out of it without reason. Leo started school. He learned new words, made friends, brought home drawings of houses with big windows and smiling suns. In every picture, there were two figures holding hands. "Is this our new house?" Maria asked once. Leo nodded. "Anywhere you are is home." The past did not disappear. Sometimes Maria still woke up at night, listening for knocks that were no longer coming. But fear no longer ruled her. It visited and then left. One afternoon, months later, Maria passed their old street on the bus. She saw the house at the end, still standing, still quiet. For a moment, her heart tightened. Then she let it go. That house was a chapter, not the whole story. She looked at Leo, now taller, stronger, carrying books instead of fear. She thought of the years they survived unseen. She thought of the knock that ended one life and began another. Some endings are not punishments, they are invitations. That evening, Maria and Leo sat by their small window and watched the sky change colors. The world felt wide again, uncertain but open. "We're okay, right?" Leo asked. Maria kissed his hair. "Yes," she said, "we are," and for the first time she knew it was true.